Whoa, does this new interpretation of the letter at Roswell prove there was an alien craft that was recovered there and that they faked the whole weather balloon story and sent the bodies of the aliens or the beings off to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base? This is huge. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I'd love to see you guys there. And comment on the story as I'm going through it. Okay, y'all are all familiar with Roswell and the crash there. And most of y'all are probably familiar with General Ramey. And, the hush-up that went on immediately after they announced to the world, hey, we've got a flying saucer. The people in charge of this sort of thing did not like that. They immediately descended on Roswell, hushed everything up, and General Ramey was in charge of that. So, and he was holding a letter in this famous photo, there's a series of well-known photos with this foil, this actual genuine weather balloon debris that was brought in to show the press. They're not going to show the ship. They're going to show the weather balloon, yada, yada, yada. Y'all all know that. But he's holding this letter, and this is an actual letter, supposedly an interoffice communication, and it's got some juicy details, and people have been trying to decipher this letter for a while. And here we go is the latest deciphering of this letter, which is kind of hard to read in the original photo. It's an old photo, and it's, kind of blurry, and, it is what it is. But this is a new high-resolution microfiche scan, an analysis created in 2001, so it's not breaking news. Using Paint Shop Pro and adjusting luminance and contrast levels. Take this with a grain of salt. So yeah, no, totally. And but Roswell is not breaking news either. But this is something that I just discovered, and I'm sure this will be new to some of you as well. And it's very juicy and evergreen, no matter if it's breaking news or not. Because, we'll go through it and you'll see how juicy it is. Now, the letter is hard to read, even with the scanning and everything, and the sophisticated analysis they did. And there's the methodology you can go read about if you want to. I'll provide a link to this page. So I'm going to read this letter to you, but it's going to be kind of rough because we don't know all the words, and it actually gives you some choices of what words to use here. FWAAF acknowledges that a disc, and I guess FWAAF is at Fort Worth Air Force, something like that. But let me know if that means something different. Acknowledges that a disc is next new find west of the cordon. Says next new find. If those are the actual words, does that mean there was another ship that was recovered? Because that is one of the various stories that are out there. In fact, Lou Elizondo himself said there were two ships, and it appears to have been some sort of collision. So, is that what they're talking about? The next new find west of the cordon? Or are they talking about, it's the next UFO that we found, meaning, we found one at Trinity, last year or a couple of years ago. So, and probably other UFOs as well. Anyway, location was either wreck or pod, or there's some other word, airfoil, near operation at the ranch, and the victims of the wreck, obviously the aliens or the beings, whatever they are, crypto-terrestrials, ultra-terrestrials, extra-dimensionals, whatever they are, the victims of the wreck you forwarded to the team at Fort Worth, Texas. I don't think they mean forwarding the actual victims. I think they mean information about the victims, because the very next line is aviators in the disc they will ship for AI 5th Army, something, right AF. Obviously, that's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is a hub for a lot of this. Ross Coulthart, the famous journalist that has become a real lightning rod, or I should say, is furthering the conversation. That's probably a better way of saying it. He's become interested in UFOs, and he's a great researcher, and he's been putting some really interesting stuff out there. Well, he said that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base was a virtual parking lot of UFOs because that's where all the crash retrieval teams dump the UFOs, or at least one of the main places. So, I mean, God, how many crashes are there? It's just mind-boggling. Why? Anyway, we can get into why they crash another time. But yeah, so the beings were sent to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the bodies. It doesn't say anything here about a living body or a living, a survivor, EB1 or whatever you want to call him, that whole story. It doesn't mention him. And in some versions of the story, EB1 doesn't come from Roswell, but from a later crash. So, yeah, if you're familiar with that, the EB1 story. Anyway, team said this or send misstate meaning of story. And think or said late today next sent out PR press release of weather balloons. So it says misstate story, send out PR of weather balloons. In other words, disinfo, right? I guess they may not have had the word disinformation back then, but that is clearly what they're saying, is send out a fake story about weather balloons. So if this interpretation of this letter is correct, this is clear proof that they had a cover story about weather balloons, in addition to having actual bodies of the beings. So very interesting, right? Misstate meaning of story in think or said late today next sent out PR of weather balloons would take, and it gives us alternate words here, take, fare, or work if photos used in land, I can't read that word, Demo Rowan Cruise? Yeah, maybe y'all can figure that one out. The last line is better if they add Ramey. And of course, that's General Ramey who's holding the letter right there. So, is this the real content of the letter that people have been scratching their heads at for a long time? Well, there are some qualifications, so let's go through them. And I'll provide a link to this too from ResearchGate.net. Previous analyses of a photograph showing a document held by General Ramey from the Roswell UFO case reportedly revealed content that supported a crashed extraterrestrial craft scenario. Other investigators of this document suggested, however, that it was ambiguous. To assess the possible extent of bias in these interpretations, and this is where it gets interesting, we had 3 randomly assigned conditions. One condition in which we told participants they were looking at a document pertaining to the famous Roswell UFO case. A second condition in which we told participants that they were looking at a document pertaining to a secret testing of the atomic bomb. And a final condition in which participants were told nothing about the document, although their subsequent solutions appeared to follow directly from the experimental suggestions. I'm not quite sure what they mean by that last line. Moreover, the number of words deciphered was related to participants' ages, tolerance of ambiguity, and relative exposure to the UFO field, and especially the Roswell case. However, a few words in the same locations in the document were consistently perceived across 3 suggestion conditions, and these matched the words identified in the previous investigations. We conclude, therefore, that future research of Ramey memo might be potentially informative if certain methodological criteria are established. Such protocols are outlined. If you'd like to, you can read the whole paper here. Again, I'll provide a link to it. It's a lengthy paper describing how they did this study, and it's a lengthy paper. I have not read it all, and but I would, if you do take the time to read it all, I would love to know what you say, what you find. Anyway, this is a fascinating thing. You know, having researched Roswell a good amount, I have no doubt there was a genuine UFO crashed there. Possibly even a shoot down. Some stories involve a shoot down, or some experimental radar that was used accidentally or intentionally to bring one or more ships down. So, but however it crashed, and whether there was one or two, there was an alien or a non-human ship that crashed at Roswell. There was a cover-up. There were bodies. There was at least one ship, possibly two ships. I don't know if there were any survivors or not, but some stories say there was one survivor that lasted several years. So I don't know. It's a very interesting situation where we have this memo from General Ramey, and people have been trying to interpret it forever as proof, as the silver bullet of the cover-up at Roswell. What do you think, guys? Is this the silver bullet? Have they definitively proven the Roswell UFO story? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I would surely appreciate it. Smash that subscribe button and the bell, of course. You don't want to miss a thing. And join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Trying to expand Cosmic Road a little bit, so I would love to see you guys there. And check out some of my other videos. Until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.